Can breathtaking beauty be a mask for a world-changing genius? The world saw this face, Hedy Lamarr, the siren of the silver screen. But they never saw the mind hiding just beneath the surface. A mind secretly designing the core of the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth you're using right now. She gave the Allies a secret weapon, and the future, its code for connection. This is not the story of a movie star. This is the investigation of a stolen legacy. If you believe the greatest stories are the ones that were never told, subscribe now and join us as we uncover the secret code of Hedy Lamarr. On the surface, her life was a Hollywood dream. A world of lavish parties and cascading staircases. The press adored her. They gave her titles, the world's most beautiful woman. But they never asked what was behind her eyes. She was surrounded by her own image. A prisoner in a hall of mirrors, forced to be the one thing they wanted. Beautiful. On set, she was an object to be directed. Her mind, a powerful engine, was left idling. She was typecast. The mysterious woman, the exotic temptation. Roles that required her face, but never her intellect. She would sign her name for the crowds, playing a part. But a part of her knew this wasn't her real story. They saw her as a beautiful bird, meant to be admired in a golden cage. Her home was a palace, but a palace can be a lonely place when no one inside truly sees you. The words they gave her were simple, empty. A mind capable of changing the world. Was given lines a child could speak. But inside, something was fighting to get out. A crack was forming in the perfect porcelain mask. The men in power saw her as a decoration. "Don't you worry your pretty little head," they'd say, unaware that her pretty little head was contemplating the very stars they stood beneath. Because for Hedy, the stars were not just lights, they were destinations. They were problems to be solved. Hidden from the cameras was her real world. Not a movie set, but a laboratory of the mind. Here, her hands were not for show. They were instruments of creation, drafting the technology of a future no one else could see. This was her true passion, the thrill of the problem, the spark of the solution, the eureka moment that Hollywood could never give her. Her library told the real story. Film scripts lay next to books on signal theory and radio frequencies. She conversed with giants like Howard Hughes, not about films, but about faster planes, better designs. A meeting of powerful minds. In her mind, life was a chess game. And she was the queen, always thinking 10 moves ahead. She had an insatiable curiosity. To understand how something worked, she had to take it apart, piece by piece. She tried to share her ideas, but they were deafened by her beauty. Her genius, unheard, simply faded away like smoke. But in private, her ideas burned bright. Her intellect, casting a shadow far larger than her celebrity. This was her essence. A mind like an orchid. Beautiful on the outside, but with a complex, perfect mechanism hidden within. And sometimes, if you looked close enough, you could see the truth in her reflection. The star would fade, and the engineer would emerge. But where did this knowledge come from? It was a souvenir from a past life. A life in Austria, married to one of Hitler's arms dealers. At those lavish dinners, she played the part of the perfect, silent wife. But she wasn't silent, she was listening, absorbing every secret about torpedoes and radio jamming. She was a prisoner then, too. But this bird knew she had to escape the cage. She fled, with a mind full of military secrets. Sailing to America, she wasn't just a refugee. She was a survivor, and she carried with her the key to a weapon the world would desperately need. December 7th, 1941, the world changed. America was at war, and the dream of Hollywood suddenly seemed trivial. In the cold expanse of the Atlantic, a hidden menace reigned. German U-boats were devastating Allied shipping lanes. Their secret was the radio-controlled torpedo, a deadly weapon, but one with a fatal flaw. Its guidance system could be jammed if only someone could figure out how. For Hedy, the news wasn't just a headline, It was a call to action. The knowledge she had stolen from her past now had a purpose. Publicly, she did what was expected of a star. She sold war bonds, using her fame for the cause. But privately, she knew her real contribution wasn't her face, but her mind. The memories of those Nazi dinner parties, the careless talk of torpedo guidance, it was all there, filed away in her memory, waiting. She couldn't stand by. While other stars hosted parties, Hedy Lamarr was designing a solution to one of the war's greatest challenges. She lived a double life. By day, the glamorous starlet. By night, an unregistered weapons engineer fighting a secret war from her study. The conflict was no longer distant news. It was a personal mission, but she knew she couldn't do it alone. The solution required a missing piece, a piece she found in the most unlikely of places, the avant-garde composer George Antheil. At a dinner party, they found themselves not discussing films or music, but the mechanics of radio signals. They spoke a shared secret language of invention. Antheil was no ordinary musician. His compositions were fantastically complex, synchronizing dozens of instruments in perfect time. He thought in systems. And it was his work with player pianos that ignited the spark. The automated paper rolls playing complex melodies. Katie saw it instantly. It wasn't just music. The 88 keys of the piano were 88 potential radio frequencies. His concept was revolutionary. What if a transmitter and a receiver could be synchronized, just like the piano roll, to jump from frequency to frequency at the exact same time? A torpedo's guidance signal would no longer be a single, vulnerable thread. It would be a ghost hopping across the spectrum, impossible to find and impossible to jam. It was a perfect fusion. Hedy's knowledge of military hardware and George's mastery of synchronization. Two brilliant minds weaving together a solution no one else could have conceived. They worked tirelessly, their passion fueling them through the night. This was more than an idea. It was their duty. A true partnership, built not on glamour, but on a shared, ferocious intellect. For the first time, perhaps, someone saw past her face and was in awe of her mind. And there it was, their secret communication system. A blueprint that held the power to change the course of the war. They secured the patent, a work of art and genius. They were ready to present their gift to the nation with the blueprint in hand. Hedy walked into the lion's den, the U.S. Department of War. She stood before the nation's top military minds, ready to offer them a war-winning invention. She explained it perfectly. The logic was undeniable. The science, sound. The solution, elegant. But they weren't listening. They were looking. They saw a movie star, not an engineer. A celebrity out of her depth. The head of the National Inventors Council glanced at her work and smiled. His rejection was swift and condescending. He told her if she really wanted to help the war effort, she should stop inventing and go back to selling war bonds. And just like that, one of the most brilliant inventions of the 20th century was stamped, classified, and buried in a file cabinet. She was dismissed. But as she stood outside that building, she was not defeated. She was armed with a truth they couldn't see. She was right. And history would prove it. Hedy returned to the world that knew her, the world of scripts and spotlights. But something was different. The mask was now heavier. She would attend the parties, smile for the cameras. But in her mind, she was a world away, listening to the ticking clock of a war her invention could have shortened. The industry gave her awards for pretending to be someone else, blind to the genius she actually was. The irony was a constant, silent companion. Every headline of a sunken ship was a personal blow, a painful reminder of the solution she held that now lay locked away. She tried, in her own ways, to bridge the two worlds. But her technical ideas were met with laughter, dismissed as the eccentricities of a movie star. So she locked her secret away, not just in a government file, but in the deepest vault of her own mind. Artists painted her beauty. but they could never capture the complex machinery of thought working tirelessly behind her eyes. She signed the contracts, played the game, but a part of her was always elsewhere, calculating, analyzing, inventing. Her mind refused to be idle. In the downtime of Hollywood, she was secretly educating herself, staying sharp, waiting for a world that was ready to listen. She would look at her own iconic image and feel a profound disconnect. The world was in love with a ghost, a beautiful shell she had created. She was a woman ahead of her time, trapped in a present that could not comprehend her. The blueprint was her proof that she was more than a face. And putting it away felt like saying goodbye to her truest self. The war ended. The world celebrated a hard-won peace. But for Hedy's invention, the moment had passed. Its first purpose was gone. For years, her patent gathered dust in a government archive. A brilliant idea dismissed and forgotten. But the world did not stay at peace for long. A new, colder conflict emerged. A war fought not in trenches, but in shadows and secrets. The new threat was submarine warfare and secure communications. The very problem Hedy's invention was designed to solve. During the terrifying standoff of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the U.S. Navy desperately needed a way to send unjammable commands to its naval blockade. And so, deep in the archives, a forgotten file was reopened. A new generation of engineers, unaware of its origin, looked upon the designs of the Hollywood star with awe. The logic was flawless. They began to build it, replacing piano roll mechanics with modern transistors. They gave it a new name, spread spectrum. The tests were a stunning success. The technology worked perfectly. Her idea, born from a desire to defeat the Nazis, was finally put to use to prevent nuclear Armageddon, all without her knowledge, as her invention was playing a critical role on the world stage. Its inventor was living a quiet life, completely unaware of the silent echo of her genius. Her involvement was buried even deeper, hidden under layers of top-secret classification. Her identity as the inventor was erased. As the years went on, the spotlight that had defined her life began to fade. The posters came down. Hollywood, a town with a short memory, moved on. The doors that were once wide open began to close. She retreated from the public eye, preferring the quiet company of her own mind to a world that had consistently misunderstood her. The tabloids, which once celebrated her, now spun tales of a tragic recluse, creating yet another false narrative. But her mind, like a master clockwork, never stopped ticking. It was quieter, perhaps, but no less brilliant. The world had stopped listening, but she had never stopped thinking. And all the while, unseen by the public, the seed she had planted was growing into a mighty tree. Its branches becoming the foundation for GPS, for military satellites, for a connected world. This was the great irony of her life. As her own star faded from view, the star of her secret invention was just beginning to rise. She found a strange peace in anonymity. No longer a goddess on a screen, but simply a mind at rest. Sometimes, perhaps, she remembered that brief, brilliant moment of true partnership. A time when someone else saw her for who she truly was. The mirror no longer showed the world's most beautiful woman. It showed something far more rare. A survivor. A genius who had kept her own secrets. She knew her own worth, even when the world had forgotten it. The queen on the chessboard knows its own power long after the game is over. Decades passed. Secrets, however, have a way of finding the light. In the 1980s, military documents were declassified, and the story began to unravel. An inquisitive mind, scrolling through forgotten patents, stumbled upon a curious design. A secret communication system. But it was the inventor's name that caused him to stop breathing. Hedy Lamarr. He knew that name. It was the birth name of Hedy Lamarr. The connection was made. The story, once confined to dusty files, was now loose on the internet. It spread like a signal that could not be jammed. the impossible, incredible truth began to circle the globe. The headlines were a symphony of disbelief and admiration. The bombshell was a brain. The siren had a secret code. The mask of the movie star, crafted by Hollywood over a lifetime, finally crumbled away, revealing the brilliant core that had been there all along. And after years of silence, Hedy Lamarr's phone began to ring. The world, at last, wanted to hear what she had to say. The cameras were back, not for a film, but for the truth. They were no longer chasing a star. They were chasing a story. And when she finally answered, it wasn't with anger or resentment. It was with the quiet satisfaction of someone who had known the truth all along. The blueprint, once dismissed, was now celebrated. A testament to a mind the world had grossly underestimated. History was being rewritten, and a new generation was looking at their own technology with a newfound sense of wonder. The recognition so long denied finally came. The scientific community rushed to honor the woman they had never known. The awards were for pioneering work in technology, for a contribution that had shaped the digital age. Hedy accepted them with a characteristic grace and detachment. The world's applause was decades late, and she no longer needed it. Her perspective was clear. As she once said, "The brains of people are more interesting than the looks I think." When told she was receiving a major electronics award, her famously witty response summed up a lifetime of waiting. About time. She faced this new wave of attention, not as a starlet, but as a matriarch of invention, calm and centered. To look in her eyes was to see the full story. A story of glamour, yes, but also of genius, frustration, and ultimate quiet triumph. The golden cage, the one built by fame and beauty, had long since lost its power. The bird had been free for decades. She didn't need the world's validation. She had her own. She had played the long game against an entire culture. And she had won. The tech world would honor her as one of its own. A founding mother of wireless communication. Her patent was revealed to be a seed from which a forest of modern technology had grown. And so the two halves of her life, the siren and the scientist, were finally seen as one, a complete, extraordinary human being. So the next time you're in a coffee shop and connect to the Wi-Fi, think of Hedy. The next time you pair your Bluetooth headphones and listen to music on the go, think of her secret symphony. The next time your GPS guides you home through the darkness, remember the woman who taught signals how to dance. Our entire modern world, a world of seamless, wireless connection, is built upon the foundation of an idea born in the mind of a movie star. During World War II, from military command to space exploration to the device you are holding in your hand, her genius is all around us. It is the invisible architecture of our daily lives, a silent, elegant solution that works so perfectly, we take it for granted. The seed she planted in secret has grown to connect the entire globe. She once said, "Give the world goodwill and understanding, and you will find it." It took the world a long time, but it found her. Her story is the ultimate reminder. Never judge a mind by its cover. The most brilliant thoughts can come from the most unexpected places, and that is her true legacy. A timeless, powerful echo of genius.